Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We are live, so get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. We've got some transfer news. We've got takeover-ish news. We'll be getting into all that. Plus, what is going on with the so-called bomb squad. We'll be getting into that. So if you're not doing so already, make sure you are hitting that like button and let us know your thoughts. Good to see the usual suspects in there. Maurice Marshall, George, Martin P, Ayush Varma, loads of people. Mick Holohan, good to see you all. Right, should we start with Carlos Baleba? Because we've not had a Carlos Baleba story for about 24 hours, so it's time we got into it. This is in the Manchester Evening News this morning at about 5:30. Them lot need to get some sleep, don't they? It says here, Carlos Baleba clause that could further complicate late Manchester United transfer. So we know where we're up to with the Carlos Baleba transfer in a minute, is the fact that Brighton have more or less said, no, forget it. We ain't selling him this summer. There isn't even a price you can name that will make us part company with the Cameroonian midfielder. However, all the reports, rumours, stories indicate that United haven't given up on Baleba as a longer-term option. So it says here, the complication comes from the sell-on clause. So it says Baleba is believed to have a sell-on clause embedded in his current contract, which could end up stinging Manchester United. And if we go a bit further on, it says there the price tag of around 100 million slapped on his head, with United chiefs reportedly conceding that a move ahead of September the 1st is highly unlikely. And then you get to the crux of this. However, future endeavours to tie the Cameroon down to a contract at Old Trafford could be hindered by a sell-on clause, as reported by Fabrizio Romano. I'm sure we've all heard of him. Baleba is claimed to have a stipulation in his current deal that means that 15% of any sale from Brighton will go to Lille. Now, there's a few things to say about this. I'm not that surprised. Most players now will have a sell-on clause, especially when they move, when they're a young player and they move into a bigger club, because the selling club will think, look, I'm sure when Lille sold Carlos Baleba, they knew how good he was going to be. They knew there was a potential player here who could reach the dizzy heights, the top ends of world football. So they'll have wanted that sell-on fee, because they'll know that Brighton are a selling club. Brighton sell him for big money, which is probably what's going to end up happening. We want a bit of that. And let's not forget, it's not just Lille that do this. United do it. United got money from Alvaro Fernandez. They got money from, who was the other one we got money from? Anthony Elanga. Sorry, man, went blank there. Yeah, Anthony Elanga. And there was someone else as well whose name escapes me. It was Odewele. Where we got money from all the sell-on fees from those players, because those are players that we sold in the past for, in some cases, not that much money. But when they moved on, then we got more money. So I'm not surprised that Lille are doing this and that it's part of Carlos Baleba's contract. You'd expect it to be. The only issue is, are Brighton going to say, right, we're going to lose 15% of this fee, so we're going to add on 15% of what we would want for him? I don't know, is the honest answer to that. We'll have to wait and see. I can't see Brighton expecting 115 million for him. If they want 100 million for him, I'd suspect that 15 of that would be what goes towards Lille. However, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I do feel as though, as time goes on, that price might even come down a little bit a year into his contract. The only way it wouldn't is if a bidding war started. If, say, Liverpool decide next summer, if it goes to next summer, we want Carlos Baleba, or City look at it and go, Rodri's come back and he's not the player he was, we could do with someone like Baleba, then Manchester United could be in a bit of trouble, because we saw it with Caicedo. He went to Chelsea. Liverpool were in for him at one point. It looked like Liverpool were in for him, or we're going to get him, sorry. Chelsea went in. Then you've got almost a little mini bidding war going on. We don't want that scenario. If it's only United in for him, then that makes life a little bit easier, especially as the player wants to come to Old Trafford. However, if another big club comes in for him, well, say a big club, City aren't as big as Manchester United, but you get my point. If City or Liverpool or any other club that's got a bit of clout comes in there, then maybe that bumps the price up. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Do you expect Manchester United to go back in this summer for Carlos Baleba? I don't. You may disagree. Do you think January could be an option? Or do you expect this to go on until next summer? And do you think we'll get our man next summer? I want to hear what you guys think. And also, what do you think of him? Because I think everyone I've spoken to loves him. Is there anyone out there who's got reservations? I'm interested to hear any opinion on Carlos Baleba. Jay Hart, which is a fantastic name, says, morning, Jay. I think we should look at Felix Mecha from Dortmund. He'd probably be around 40 to 50 million euros. He's quick, 6'4", and he's tidy on the ball. I'll have a look at him. I don't know a lot about him, but I will have a look, definitely. Reds Punk says sell-on clauses are in pretty much every contract. What's the news? Again, I get it. It's like, is this really a revelation, the way the Manchester Evening News are making out? I mean, it's a little bit annoying, but it's not like you can be massively surprised by it, because it looks like, well, yeah, I kind of expect that. Also, as well, there's sometimes sell-on clauses can change. I remember when, was it Southampton who had a sell-on clause on Gareth Bale with Spurs? When Spurs sold Gareth Bale, I think 10 or 20% of that sale had to go to Southampton. And Daniel Levy, I think, when Southampton was struggling financially, bought that sell-on clause off him for £1 million when they needed some money. So we'll have to wait and see. Donny Blackburn says, didn't Amecha go to Dortmund from City? And at the time, I'm sure he played in a more advanced role. We'll have to have a look at that. Noor Sleeman says, with Brighton selling all their players, is Jay's dream of Welbeck joining United on the cards one day? We will see that happen. Phil Berry says, he'll be more expensive next summer. Let me know. Do you think next summer is going to be problematic? Phil Berry saying next summer is going to cost more. Should United be just going for it this summer? Because it could be even more difficult to get that deal done next summer. Let me know what you think. Harry says, Jay, do you think United will win the stare down with Chelsea over Garnacho? Yes, I do. I think Manchester United will not sell Garnacho for 25 million, which is what was being reported Chelsea were willing to pay. I think we'll, 50 million? I think we should get that, and I think we will get it. That's my opinion. I've not got anything to base it on. Santa Not says, next summer the demand will be higher. That's an issue. If he has another season like the two he's just had, his stock's going to rise. If someone else comes in for him, it could bump the price up. Let me know what you think. Man United might be in a stronger position, let's not forget, next summer. There's one thing we've not taken into account. If, and it's a big if, Manchester United move on some players. If Manchester United, for example, have got Champions League football, so we can bank that money. I mean, it's a big if, that one, isn't it? But then maybe we'll be able to push the envelope a little bit with that signing. Listen, I know Manchester United have made a lot of big money signings that haven't worked out. And I get there's a lot of reservations about spending upwards of 80, 90 million quid on a midfielder. But I do think there's an element of, if we are really going to get back to the top, challenging for titles, getting in that Champions League, challenging for the Champions League, which is where Manchester United should be, maybe there is one or two signings where you go, it's worth it. Maybe there's a signing where you go, look, Arsenal spent over 100 million quid on Declan Rice. City spent 100 million quid on Jack Grealish. I know he's not there anymore. The top clubs do spend 100 million quid. I think Liverpool have done it a couple of times. They're willing to do it on Caicedo. I think they spent around that on Darwin Núñez. I know he's gone now. Look at what they spent on Florian Wirtz. That was over 100 million. So if we are to catch these clubs or overtake them, do we have to at some point go, look, one or two players might be worth going for when it comes to sort of big money? Let me know what you think. Dan Finette says, I'd sign Hayden Hackney this summer, playing for a season, then include him in a deal for Baleba next season. The lad at Middlesbrough, he's been highly rated, and me and Finn have spoken about him on Academy Review. Donovan Alexis says, it had to be him. He's Sesko, he's magic, you know. He's in and amongst the goals. He's magic, you know. It had to be him. He's Sesko. Yeah. I don't know about that one. It's obviously the Michael Carrick-esque chant in it. He's Sesko, he's magic, you know. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you've got any Sesko chants, I'm all ears. Keep them clean, though. Steve Out says, anyone know where Isaac is being held hostage? What a bizarre situation. Yeah, he's just like basically thrown his toys right out of the pram, wants to go to Liverpool. Newcastle don't really want to let him go, but it feels like they're sort of resigned to the fact they're going to lose him. Donny Blackburn says, Jay, did you see Chelsea have signed another left winger in Cisco from Brighton? I did see that. I don't know where that leaves the Alejandro Garnacho move. I still think they'll end up buying him personally, or they'll still want him because they just love buying players, don't they? They're on it. Excuse me, windy pops. Let's talk about Rasmus Hojlund. European giants, this is from the Mail, step up talks with Man United striker Hojlund after he was axed from the squad by Ruben Amorim, and he could link up with a former Old Trafford teammate. So this is Napoli, I think, and obviously the former Old Trafford teammate is Scott McTominay, Ballon d'Or nominee Scott McTominay. So it says here that Milan offered a 4.5 loan fee with an option to buy for 39 million. There's talks, obviously, ongoing Rasmus Hojlund. The Italians want the Denmark international following an injury to Romelu Lukaku. We'll have to wait and see what happens with this one. I think it'd be a good move for Hojlund. You've seen how Scott McTominay's gone over there in Napoli. They absolutely loving him. Just won the Scudetto. Could Hojlund do well in Serie A? I think he could. He did quite well there, didn't he? At Atalanta, that's one of the reasons we bought him. What's the main reason we bought him? He's not having a good time at Manchester United. I'd like to see, personally, I think a permanent move makes sense. I know some people saying get him out there, get him on loan. And if he does well, we can bring him back and he'll be a year older and a bit more experience and he can shine. I just don't know. I think he'd have to shine a lot. He'd have to do a lot for you to go, okay, bring him back and give him another opportunity. Because I think even if he goes there and gets 15 goals, people might go, well, it's the Italian league. He kind of did something similar when he's at Atalanta. Does that mean he's good enough for United? I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. Let me know what you think. Danny Sabath says Cisco is being loaned out. Yep. Number 7 says Chelsea will buy Garnacho and flip him like a done-up house next season for profit. I don't mind if they do. Also, they will have a sell-on clause on that as well, so it could even benefit us. Ari says Rasmus wants either completely out or completely in. Yeah, I think there was reports that he wants to move on. Sebastian says, hi Jay, actually think it's an intelligent move from his agent. A straight loan is easy to do, but with obligation might be more tricky. He wants to stay and try and compete with Sesko. Maury Boogie says, Jay, do you think we'll get Sen Lemens? I'm not sure. There were some rumours, weren't there? Seems to have gone a little bit quiet on that front. Giggity says 1.8k watching and not even 200 likes. Come on, people, hit that like button. We've now got almost 2,000 people watching and only 200 likes, so let's hit that like button, people. Let's talk about Sir Jim Ratcliffe. This is from the Mail. Is this the Mail Plus? Yeah. You can get rid of that. Basically, sorry, I just realised, I think that might be a paid thing. So we don't want to get in trouble. Basically there's this clause in the ownership, the contracts when Sir Jim Ratcliffe bought his share in Manchester United. I think now you've got it's this weird thing. It's called like the drag along right. So I'll run through this and explain what the hell I'm on about. So this is a story in Mail Plus, and it says there's a clause when Sir Jim bought 25% of the club last February that's come into play. The clause is known as the drag-along right, and while it's not part of football speak, in the business world, drag-along rights are so commonplace that they have 3 different names for them. The purpose is a simple one. They exist to make it easier for a company to be sold by preventing situations in which a minority shareholder can block a deal that those who hold the majority want to see go through. So basically, Sir Jim Ratcliffe cannot stop the Glazers from selling. So in United's case, that means if the Glazers want to sell, then Ratcliffe and Ineos now cannot stop them. So technically, the Glazers could say, right, we're going to sell Manchester United to Sheikh Jassim. However, in this article, it does say that there's no indication that Sheikh Jassim is going to try and buy Manchester United again. There's even reservations and doubt about how serious the bid was last time and whether he actually had the money to buy Manchester United. I don't want to go too far backwards, though. We've done all this. The general feeling, the gist of this article is that despite the fact there is this clause that technically the Glazers could sell, there's no indication that they're looking to sell. They're quite happy with what Ineos have done. Ineos have taken a lot of flack. They've made a lot of changes, and let's not forget, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, whether you like him or loathe him, has put, I think, 300 million quid of his own money into the club to buy those shares, and that money, some of that money has gone towards Carrington. There's also plans afoot to build a new stadium as well. So for all intents and purposes, it looks like the Glazers are quite happy with what is going on. If that changes, we will keep you posted. But I've no reason to believe as yet that we can expect a bid from Sheikh Jassim or anyone else, or expect a sale anytime soon. My stance will never ever change. I want the Glazers gone. They have been an absolute cancer on this club. They're despicable. The fact that we had someone taking a selfie with him the other day at Old Trafford is just bizarre to me. I don't understand it. It's just, you know, it's like your missus cheating on you with someone else and you taking a photo with that someone else. Like, what is wrong with these people? The Glazers have been nothing but bad for Manchester United Football Club, and fans should not be asking them for a selfie. That's my thoughts on it. You may disagree. Soldier 4th Class says Jassim has Baleba funds. There you go. Get Jassim in and we can buy Carlos Baleba. That's how it works. Ari says Glazers don't want to sell, and as far as I know, Ineos wants to buy the rest of the club. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe that happens. You would always think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe eventually wants to own all of Manchester United. Kevin Aitchen says, what a day it will be when they're gone. 100% agree with that one. Paddy Mark says, hashtag Glazers out, hashtag LUHG. Agree with all that. Let's talk about Stephen Torpey. We had this last night. Who is Stephen Torpey? This is the guy that's coming into Manchester United from Brentford. He's taken over from Nick Cox, so he's going to be in charge of the academy, I think. That's what Nick Cox was doing. He's worked with Jason Wilcox in the past at Manchester City, so it looks like he's going to come in. I think he's around October. I think that Nick Cox will be leaving. So, yeah, he's obviously got some pedigree. You can see there it says, during his time at City, he played a pivotal role in the development of some of City's brightest young stars, including Cole Palmer, Romeo Lavia and Rico Lewis. His proven track record in nurturing talent, elite talent, makes him an attractive choice for United, and his connection with Wilcox will ensure alignment in the club's long-term academy vision. Torpey will become the second arrival from Brentford this summer, following Brian Mbeumo's transfer. So it makes a lot of sense there. We needed to get someone in to replace Nick Cox, and it makes sense that we've got someone in that Jason Wilcox knows and that has experience, has pedigree, and has done well elsewhere. It just does feel like we're sort of Manchester City 2.0 at times, doesn't it? But I don't care as long as we have success because of it. Let's talk about Cunha. There's a story on the official Manchester United website. Matheus Cunha has only played one competitive match for Manchester United so far, but it's fair to say the Brazilian has already made a positive impression. I think you're absolutely right. Me and Steve were talking about this the other day. Absolutely loved what we saw of Matheus Cunha against Arsenal. Casemiro, who's obviously his Brazilian teammate, says, I already knew Matheus for a long time because we played together in the national team. I also played against him when he was at Atletico and Wolves, so I know him very well. I know the quality that he has. He's already demonstrated in the Premier League that he's a great player, and now he plays in one of the biggest teams in England. I'm sure that he'll do well because he's a great player. He's a young player with a lot of ambition, and well, I'm sure he's going to be really important for us, not just for scoring goals, but also the quality he has in many ways will carry us in the attacking third. Phil Berry says, I already love Cunha. I do too. Manuel Agati says, well, Matheus is from Brazil. Uruguay and Brazil are very close, so we have a good relationship. He's okay. He's very extroverted, very, very funny, and this is important to bring energy to the group, and we're all really happy with him, always with a smile, always joking in the group. That is important to have good energy and succeed. He plays with that, doesn't he? He plays with that element of just enjoying himself. You saw him and Mbeumo linking up against Arsenal, like they were enjoying themselves, and we've missed that at United. We've had players who look like someone's put a gun to their head and told them to go and play at Old Trafford. Now you've got players that actually look like they want to be here. I love all that. It was great to see. Yes, we didn't get the result, but those two, Cunha and Mbeumo in particular, did really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, hopefully this weekend against Fulham, where we need to get our first Premier League win. I know it's only the second game, but let's not start off terribly. Let's just get some points on the board. Soldier Fourth Class says, I'm close with Jay because we're from the same planet. Very good point. Kevin Aitchen said, I love seeing him give Arsenal shit for time wasting. Yeah, there was one point where he was kicking off, wasn't he? I love that. He's got a bit of an edge to him. He really has. Yeah, big fan of what I've seen so far from Matheus Cunha. Miss Bobby says, Jay, I'd keep Rasmus. He's still young. It would bring out the best of him and Sesko to fight for the position. And I know we have Xerxes, but is he a natural 9 or is he a 10? That's a good point, to be fair. I get that. We'll have to wait and see what happens. It does feel, though, Rasmus Hojlund is going to move this summer. Whether that's a low move or a permanent deal, we'll have to wait and see. Ali Williams says, watch Baleba tunnel vids. That's a man who loves his footy. Also, someone saying, Red Lad says, yes, because South American countries famously get along very well. Maury Boogie says, the edge part of Cunha reminds me of Cantona. Yeah, it does a little bit with me, doesn't it? Eric had that, didn't he? That edge. And Cunha's certainly got a little bit of that. Who was having a go at him for all the red cards? Was it Michael Owen saying he's a liability for all the red cards he's got and all that? And he's only had one. Michael Owen talking rubbish as per. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be back later on today. We've got Off the Bar. So we've got me, Howson, Macca and Joe. All the four of us are here for that one. Plus, we're going to be looking ahead to the Fulham game. Plus, we've got all the other content on the channel. So if you're not doing so already, make sure you are hitting that like, share and subscribe button. I think what we're on now, there we are. Almost at 820,000 subscribers. With your support, we will get there. I've been Jay Motti. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.